Hi, and welcome to Eating Plebian. Today we are making Steakhouse Flatbreads. It's kind of a fusion of things, whether or not you want to call it a wrap or eat it flat or whatever. But we've got a little bit of some half-decent steak, and we're going to do something a little out of the ordinary with it. Why don't you follow along with me here? We're going to hit the ingredient list as usual. Starting things off, I've got 1.5 pounds of decent prime sirloin, that center cut steak. And I'm going to be taking that off camera and just go ahead and hit it with liberal amounts of salt and pepper and let that sit out for time to get up to room temperature. It'll probably take about 20, 30 minutes or so, but I think you'll forgive me for just kind of not wasting your time with that. I've got 2 tablespoons of cooking oil. That's actually refined olive oil, but the proteins that burn easy have been taken out. 4 ounces each of sliced cherry tomatoes. I've got blue cheese over here and 1/2 of an onion. It's roughly about 4 ounces as well, so all 3 of those items are. I've got 4 ounces, you guessed it, with mushrooms. I've sliced them up. Here's a pro tip, by the way. If you're just storing in the mushrooms like in your refrigerator, you don't know exactly when you're going to get them, go ahead and actually get the whole mushrooms and slice them yourself. You'll find they last a whole lot longer because it has less surface area for things to take hold of, and also they don't dehydrate as fast. Now, we've also got 3 to 5 cloves of garlic I've minced up. I've got just a small handful of fresh thyme sprigs. I'll be preparing the steak along with those thyme sprigs. Over to the side, I've got some naan bread. This is my favorite type of flatbread. I think pitas are oftentimes a little too tough, depending on, if you get them or if they're fresh or not. But they'll be going into the oven only for about a minute or two at 400 degrees, but those will soften up nicely. I've got a sauce that I'm going to be creating here for the Steakhouse Flatbreads, and that's going to consist of 1/2 cup of sour cream. I've got 3 tablespoons of prepared horseradish, 1.5 teaspoons of dill, and 1 teaspoon of this is Dijon mustard. And of course, we've got some salt and pepper, which is always seemingly waiting in the wings to get brought forward whenever we need it. Let's get started, I think, with the sauce first, and then we can put it in the fridge and get everything else working. Now, this is a fairly simple preparation here. All I'm going to be doing is just adding these things together. Now, I particularly like a lot of horseradish, but when you cut it with a sour cream, it does have a tendency to lose its bite just a little bit, because that's what fat does. It likes to get a hold and just kind of wrap up its lipids over top of any sort of molecules that like to be either spicy or aromatic. It's the same thing that when you eat hot wings and stuff, people tell you to drink milk or eat ice cream. Same thing. So I'm going to be adding here the 1.5 teaspoons of dill to the 3 tablespoons of the horseradish. I'm going to place in my teaspoon of Dijon mustard. Set that aside a moment, and I've got this because I know the sour cream was going to be a pain to get out. So that's why I'm using the spatula on this one. And as I said, this is just such a quick preparation for a sauce for something that is meant to be mainly for steak. Obviously, people have been eating horseradish with beef for centuries, and this is just a take on that. It's not really that different. So we'll be getting this combined in, and I want it to sit and meld in the refrigerator for a few minutes while I go on with the rest of the dish. I'm going to take this time to ask you for a favor. I've been making some videos now, just like this, for a couple of months, and I would appreciate you hitting the like and the subscribe buttons. It's kind of important for my fairly new channel. Since I've been making stuff for the last couple of months, I want to get over that hump to be able to get my content out to those people who I feel really kind of need it. There's a lot of people, for some reason, especially in the latest generation, that have been brought up without a lot of cooking skills. And with the expense of takeout and restaurant bills. We need to do everything that we can really in order to be able to, make those things stretch farther because, wages in the last several years, in fact, have not kept up with expenses. So, all right, I'm going to take this now. I'm going to put it in the fridge covered with a little bit of plastic wrap, and we'll continue on. Well, we're resituated back over at the stove. I've got my oven turned on to 375 degrees. Anywhere between 375 and 400 is good for this. And the oven itself is only being used for the flatbread, for the naan that I'm using. I'm actually going to complete the sear of the steak here inside of the skillet that's on the stovetop. And so I've got it on medium heat, and it's getting warmed up as we speak. I also forgot to mention, by the way, because I had it in the fridge, I've got 4 tablespoons butter, and this butter is going to be used to assist in basting the steak. I have had the thing salted and peppered pretty vigorously, and it's about up to room temperature, and I'll be tossing that in here in just a second. And lastly, I've also got my probe thermometer. It is waiting here for us to judge exactly how far that steak has been cooked after we've been dealing with it for a little bit. The entire practice of being able to tell in the professional chef's way of pressing on your palm, and depending on where on your palm or on your arm, the firmness as judging as to how far it's cooked, I have never been able to successfully do that. The best thing that I can tell you for a whole lot of kitchen success with a whole lot of different recipes, if in doubt, grab yourself a thermometer. They're cheap. This is like $10. I've got some better ones, of course. I tend to collect those in pepper mills for some reason. But that is going to ensure your success when you're starting to cook, and probably for a long time afterwards. So as this has been getting heated up, I'm only at about not even quite 200 degrees. I am going to let that go for a little bit longer, and I will join you in a minute. I want to approach about 300 degrees at least. We're starting to get there. I'm going to go ahead and call it and say go ahead and get started. I also have my vent fan turned on. Cooking steaks in this fashion, it's going to spatter. It's just the way it is, and I'm going to have a little bit more cleanup that I'll have to do afterwards, but that's all right. And so what I'm going to do is just put the tiniest bit of oil to get things started off in here in this stainless steel skillet. That's as much as I want right there, just to get the pores in. And this is going to go down considerably as soon as I put in this piece of meat. And it's fairly large. Woo! Spatter all over the place. I'm gonna have to move that back. Just didn't want to have to reach for it. There we go. That was at a little above medium on this stove. You can tell it's hot. But anyways, we're going to let that sit for about 2 minutes. And then we're going to flip it over, and then we're going to add our butter. And the butter is going to be used to obviously flavor things. It's got plenty of salt on it, so the fact that I'm using salted butter is not particularly an issue. But we wanted it to be hot, and by God, we've got it. So if you can see me through all this, we're doing a good job. This will also contract a little bit, but that's fine. All right, I'll see you back here in just a minute. All right, it's been about 1 minute later, and this is going to get turned over. Yep, that's about brown. What did you say? Now I'm going to add the butter in and around. We've got some great fond in here too, and we'll be utilizing that to a degree. Want to be able to allow some of the butter to get in underneath. We're being aggressive here. That's fine. I'm going to take my thyme. I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to take my time, taking my time. And you've seen this many, many times of people basting steaks. It's true. This is why steakhouse steaks taste so good, or for that matter, restaurant food in general, because they use butter in just about freaking everything. That looks great. Now, it hasn't been on too long, but I'm still going to go ahead and probe it and see if we can get to about 130 degrees, which is where I want to hit. You know, it's only going to take another minute or so, and this steak is done. Crazy, huh? I have a plate waiting for me off to the side. And oh, here's something else to know, in case you're actually wondering. Because of preferences within the house for steak to be done, I'm actually going to hack off a piece of this and go for about 135 or 140, 145, make it about medium or a little bit more. So if you're wondering and you see it later why there's a piece cut off, that's why. Just telling you now. Yeah, some of it's already done. 140. Yep, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take most of this out. Oops, that would have been tragic. There we are. I'm going to let this sit under some foil. There we are. And I'll put in the other piece in just a minute. Is that the fastest steak you've ever seen? I believe there was a brand called Minute Steak or something like that. Not to be confused with anything you'd actually want to eat, but whatever. $27, 136, 141, 145, 150. I'm calling this one done. See how fast that rose up? And just off camera, I'm putting it on that plate again. Now, let's see what we've got here. That is some amazing fond. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in some onions in there. Taking this to medium low. And also my mushrooms. Those mushrooms are going to drink up a whole heck of a lot of any liquid that's in here, and that's including the fat. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and deglaze this a little bit too. I want that stuff that's down there. And so I've got a bottle of white wine here. I'm going to put in maybe about a quarter of a third of a cup. I'll add this to the recipes. It's one of the nice things about being a solo operation here. I can make these sort of decisions on my own. Yes, I can. Raise the heat up so it boils off. And I want that fond. So I grabbed a hard edge spatula here just to make sure that it gets off. but we just want to give these things a little bit of a brush. We do blush. I don't want to fully cook them down because this is going on our flatbreads, and you know, if I wanted to have what's the term? Caramelized onions, then certainly I would have made caramelized onions, but not in this particular case. I want still just a little bit of snap from these vegetables. And as this is coming along, I think there's no reason why I can't go ahead and add my garlic to these. Smells nice. And lastly, I'm going to go ahead and add in those cherry tomatoes. By the time that it gets down to the point where I've reduced that wine and the butter in the bottom of this pan, I believe this is going to be done. We want to heat up these tomatoes. There's no reason that they need to be cooked. I oftentimes slice these things in half like you see, because if I don't or don't do anything else to them, they're going to burst. So why not pre-burst them by cutting them in half? And they retain their shape. It just looks nice, that's all. All right, we're going to simmer these for a couple of minutes till everything gets down. And I'll salt and pepper those things right afterwards, but we'll be right back. All right, we're getting just down there, and so I'm going to go ahead and decamp this off to a bowl. Find my spatula, warm spatula. And you know what I did, guys? Did you catch it? Did you catch it? I didn't put the salt and pepper in, so this is going all back in. I am a home cook. I am allowed. I'm going to put in about 1/3 to a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. That's probably plenty. About the same amount for pepper. Mix this all in. And now we're going to get to do our take two. So I'm putting my onions and mushrooms and tomatoes back into the bowl, turning that off for the time being. And I'll set this off to the side. And now I've got about 1 to 2 minutes here on these flatbreads. So I'm going to set that inside my oven. We'll be back in just a minute. I got to slice my steak up, but at the thing I got to do, the first priority is to take out my naan bread. That tray is hot. So I'm going to put this over there on the assembly station, and then we'll get on with this. As I said, it only takes a couple of minutes. So I'm going to set this over off to the side here. And let's get going here with this steak. Now I've got the smaller one that I cooked a good bit harder on purpose. So I'm going to set the thyme leaves aside. And I'm simply just going to take these, and it's a good medium. She'll be happy with that. There we are. I'm going to put that in a separate bowl. There we are. And now for the main portion, getting rid of the thyme. That one was avoiding me. That's all right. Let's go down it like this. And we've got some more pink. So there we go. Just a bit beyond medium rare. This thing was cooking so fast. That's all right. I like it anyway. And so I'm just going to make these strips. I've got a couple little tidbits off to the side that the dogs are going to absolutely love me for. Get back there. And man, I mean, it just goes fast. Yes, there's a little bit of preparation involved with the number of ingredients for this, but when you want to cook it, it is done in a heartbeat. You do want to use a little bit of a better cut of beef, for the simple fact that people will probably pick these up and eat them as sandwiches. I probably will too. And you don't want to pull all the contents of your flatbread off, you know, with a bite because you couldn't make it break off. So there's that, but you don't need to have a really expensive cut of beef. And I'm going to grab another bowl for this. Get in under there. We've got another escapee. Have to deal with him too. Right there, and now it's off to our assembly station. So anyways, what I'm doing is I'm taking my flatbread and I'm putting it down here. You'll note that I've got this bottle of water. I'm just simply using it as a weight to hold these things kind of in a taco shape. That's the only reason it's there, until I get enough of them to span the plate. We're going to put some of the beef we made, kind of make it even as much as you can. Some of my blue cheese, however much or little or none as you want. We like blue cheese around here. We're kind of famous for it. So there. Some of these sautéed mushrooms, onions, and tomatoes. And someone doesn't like me using the term tomatoes, apparently. Hush, you. You'll get yours later. And a little bit of the parsley. So there we are. So we're just going to roll this over. And start on the next one. Assemble them any way you wish. I'll be right back. And these, my friends, are our Steakhouse Flatbreads. And these things are just amazing. I hope you enjoy this recipe. It's actually kind of fun making it. It goes rather quick once you get all the prep done. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to sit down to eat on these. So thanks once again for joining with me here at Eating Plebian. I hope that you enjoy these, just as I said there. And, well, when you can make stuff like this and it's better than the restaurant, why pay more for the restaurant and the takeout and all the rest? Thanks very much. I'll see you next time. Hit that like and subscribe buttons.